Summer is officially here, baby, and we could think of no better way to stay cool this summer than by giving back to others. On September 1st, Laura and I will be donating $1 for every rating and $2 for every written review on Apple Podcasts to a charity that you, our listeners, get to help us pick. Follow us on our socials at Impolite Society Podcast to find out more about how we're going to be picking our charity and to weigh in and let us know what charity you want us to support. But that's not it, because not only are you helping us help others, you also have a chance to help yourself. Not only are we going to be cutting a check to a charity on September 1st, we are also going to be choosing a written review at random to win a $50 gift card and some Impolite Society swag. So if you leave us a review, let us know by taking a screenshot and emailing it to us at rude@impolitesocietypodcast.com or slip it into the DMs of any of our socials. Fixing this messed up world is hard, but when you take a couple seconds to leave us a rating on Apple Podcasts, you can rest assured that you did something positive with your summer and you helped us improve the world $1 at a time. Thank you so much for listening. Now to the show.
You're listening to Impolite Society with Laura and Rachel.
And we're coming in hot from beautiful, muggy St. Louis, Missouri.
It's a balming 98 today, or something like that. I don't know. It was hot.
It's 98% humidity.
Feels like 110.
Yes, the air is thick.
Like a summer, I don't know. I was trying to make some sort of southern reference there.
You step outside and the air was thick like a key lime pie.
I don't think that's that's not a great line, but okay. I was gonna say something like thick, like a syrup, like a
that's Canadian.
Something syrupy. No, like not maple syrup, but like something like sweet, syrupy, and southern, which is like a mint julep. Is that?
The air was thick like my mistress's thighs.
Ooh, I like that. That's good.
I have to go with thick thighs. You ever watched The Great British Bake Off?
Hell to the yes.
Can I tell you a secret?
What?
I am in love
with Paul Hollywood?
With Noel.
Oh, God. No. That's not a secret. I already knew that, and that is insane.
We've been watching this British game show called Taskmaster, and he's on a couple seasons of it, and I'm just like, I love you.
That man is an enigma wrapped in a mystery. I mean, he's funny, so I guess I can give you that, but, like, he does not exude any kind of sexuality for me. In fact, he just seems like a big question mark. Like, that's what he is.
He was ranked in the top sexiest men alive or
what?
something.
Mm-hmm.
He was like 98.
By who?
Probably British people.
Yeah,
it's a small island. The island's not very big.
Yeah.
But I'll take it.
They don't know shit about sexy men. I don't know I don't know.
And if this ever makes it to the English Isles over there, hey, no, holla at your girl.
Can you sneak me some goodies from the Great British Bake Off?
I'm more like, just like where you get your shoes from.
I'm more like, can you get me some of them treats, y'all? I would love to taste that shit.
I'd taste that shit.
Yeah, I bet you would.
Enough talking about Rachel's strange celebrity crushes. What the heck is this show?
This is Impolite Society, the podcast where we answer the questions you're too afraid to ask.
That's right. We dig into taboo topics each episode by asking each other a rude question. I am Rachel.
I am Laura. Is that how you do it?
Laura. Yeah, something like that. And that's us. We're the host. Ta-da!
So today's topic, I kind of debated on whether or not I wanted to cover this, if I wanted to make you cover it, because I was afraid it was going to come back a little holier than thou. But, I mean, I'm Laura. I'm going to embrace who I am. And we all know that I'm kind of a little bit judgy. If you listen to this show, it's kind of a little bit of my hallmark. So I just decided, you know what? I'm going to run with it.
Because I've been over to your house, Laura, and it's amazing. I've never seen such a big stable to house your high horse that you ride on everywhere.
And many people have also commented on my high horse. Thank you for noticing. Because today's topic, it's not something that I suffer from, but I know a lot of people in my life that do. My best friend, my father, my husband, my podcast co-host. Look at her raising her hand
I'm
here.
raising my hand. Ugh.
And that topic is road rage. It is...
That's right. I'm up in the gym every day, 3 hours a day, pumping iron, getting swole.
Road rage swole.
Not roid rage. Road rage. Like in cars.
Yeah.
Meep, meep.
And road rage is an ugly thing. And it for real kills people. And so many people have it. And in kind of a plot twist, this episode, this is not a taboo topic. People will openly admit to having road rage and doing stupid things behind the wheel. It is almost like this kind of humble brag, like, yeah, I've got a real problem with road rage. And this is something that we talk about openly, but should it be? Should it be a taboo?
You know what I see when I see someone bragging about their road rage? I see a goddamn winner, Laura, who doesn't take shit from nobody.
And that we'll get into that. I'm just thinking, going off the handle on some total stranger for next to nothing or an innocent mistake, does that really speak well of your mental and emotional health? Does having road rage mean that there's something wrong with you? Does having road rage mean that you're some kind of monster?
Yeah, no, I think somebody screaming their head out in traffic, I think that means you're perfectly sane and stable. Very extremely stable genius, maybe.
End of podcast.
No. Yeah, it does kind of like put us in a car and a lot of us lose our fucking minds and become these horrible people who we would never be in social situations. Is there something about being in your car, driving in traffic that unleashes this monster? Does road rage mean monsters walk among us in our everyday life? And that's the essence of the rude question today.
Absolutely. So let's dive in after this little break.
Well, we got to the break really fast today. My Noel Fielding conversation didn't go as far as I would have thought it would. I just love him.
I just love him. Yuck. Somebody doesn't have to be physically attractive to be attractive. You know what I mean? Like, I think, because we can all agree objectively he's weird looking, right? Like, he's kind of lumpy.
He's got a nice Roman nose.
He's kind of
he's a tall guy.
Yeah, he's tall. He's funny. So those are all props in his category. But he's also just like weirdly asexual, and like he wears like leggings and tunic shirts, and I'm just so confused by the whole thing.
See, that's what I dig. I dig that about him because he knows what he likes and he wears it, and he's unabashedly who he is. He just seems really happy. He just always seems happy and like fun and like
he's also
easygoing.
Yeah, he's also kind of got a mullet though.
The hair you can take really.
Hello there. It's been a while since we've had a hometown shout out, so here we go again. This shout out goes to Cape Town, South Africa. We got an amazing email from a listener there, so thank you, Tyra, for listening and for sending such a kind note. We really appreciate it, and we really appreciate you. And I'm excited to say that we've almost hit all of the continents on the map. We've got North America, Europe, Asia, Australia, and Africa. They have all heard the taboo topics of impolite society, but alas, no South American listeners yet. So let's take impolite society across the globe, and if you know someone in South America, send them a little nudge and say, hey you there. I know a podcast you would love. And then you say our podcast. Like this podcast. Like the one you're listening to right now.
So thank you for listening and for helping us spread the rude ruminations of impolite society. And now it's back to the show.
Smick smack doodly dack. Oh wait, smick smack, knick knack, patty whack.
Give you a dog
We're
a
back. Wow, that. What? No, gotta let me do my rap.
Sorry.
Knick knack, patty whack. Guess what? We're back. Hope you enjoyed the break. If you didn't, you're whack.
Go Rachel.
This is it.
DJ
This is
Rachel in the house.
Yes, it is me.
So, road rage. Let's start with the basics. That's what we normally do around these parts. What is road rage? And I think we all kind of know what it is. It's pretty simple. It's when you lose your shit on another driver.
And for our friends, just to be clear, what are we driving in this situation?
A car.
What's a car?
A four-wheeled, self-propelled automobile.
Well, there you go. See, I just threw that out of the blue at you, and you handled it like a champ. Laura can see. She can describe the world around her. Good job.
Thanks. Okay. So, all right, losing your shit on another driver, that is not a technical definition, obviously. There really isn't a technical definition for road rage because it really depends on the situation and also where you are. Each kind of county, state, whatever jurisdiction, they have different laws on what is and is not considered road rage versus something called aggressive driving. And aggressive driving is its own thing, but it's lesser than road rage. So some of these jurisdictions, they have laws that punish road rage more severely than just aggressive driving, kind of like a hate crime, right? They're like, there's crime and then there's hate crime. They categorize this as something special that's given its own unique sentencing and punishment guidelines. And so road rage, there are a lot of different ways that it comes up, a lot of different examples of it, and there are kind of degrees to it, at least in my opinion. So Let's go with some examples in order of escalation level.
And I'll raise my hand and chime in whenever what you're saying describes me.
I don't know that works for an audio podcast.
Wait, what sound should I make then? Awooga, like a car,
yeah,
old-timey car
there you
horn?
go. Awooga. All right. So, first one, shouting, cussing, honking, flicking people off.
Awooga.
Awooga. I also suffer from this one.
Oh my God.
Is this really road rage? I mean, come on. This is just being a human being, right?
Just getting mad. Although flipping people off to me, which I say flipping, you say flicking. That's interesting. That's a strange dialectal difference for two people who grew up miles away from each other.
I don't even think a mile away from each other.
I think it was a little more. Things are spread out in North County. Just everything's spread out. But
True.
Yeah, that's weird to see flicking people off. I said it flipping, but I try not to flip people off. And I have a very specific instance of when I did that. Because like you said, people be crazy. And I experienced some of the next level after I flipped this guy off one time. And then I never do it because you know what? My life is not worth expressing my anger, except I did flip someone off literally this week. But it was like an unimposing white guy. So I am such a bully because I see and I assess the person and then I decide
assess their threat level and then decide.
Which I constantly complain about people doing to me because I'm a small white woman in a little purple car and people think they can just do whatever.
It's so tiny, you guys. It is the tiniest little car and it's fucking purple.
It's literally the least threatening vehicle that's ever touched the road. Yeah, people think that they can just yell at me or do whatever. I saw one guy look at me like my vehicle up and down and then give me a nasty hand signal. Throw the bird up without abandon. If you're going to flip people off, don't be like me and be a little bitch. Do it, and if you get shot, at least you died proud.
That's kind of where I am. Like, I don't do this often. I have this weird, and this doesn't translate to other areas of my life, where when something happens, I'm just like, fuck you, man. Like, it's not like a, fuck you, man. Like, it's just like, God. And so, like, when I go around people, if they've done something particularly egregious, I will just without emotion, throw the bird and just not even look at them and just drive past. You know what I mean? I'm like, this is what I think.
Yeah.
And that's the end of the interaction. You know what I mean? Like, I don't feel like I need to further engage this individual. So, like, this is where the cutoff is for me. most of the time. So the next one is retaliatory driving. So this is when you go beyond that verbalization or these hand gestures to retaliate against the other driver. You cut them off on purpose, follow too closely, block them from your lane or from getting over, brake checking, or even chasing the other vehicle.
Awooga. I've definitely done this.
I have a little ooga. I did this once. In like when I was younger, this might have been a different story, but like in the past 10 years, I have done this fucking once. And it was on the way to work, and it was some fucking teenage girl in a white Jeep Wrangler. And she was on my fucking ass on the way to work. And it's like 7:30 in the morning, and I'm like, bitch, you back there in your white Jeep Wrangler. I know you didn't buy that car because I know how much a Jeep Wrangler costs because my husband wanted to get one. And I told him no because it was too fucking expensive. Yeah. And you're back there driving a Jeep Wrangler. You're 17 years old and you're trying to bully me through, out of the fast lane. Fuck you. She was following too closely. I did do a little brake check on her.
Oh, wow. I don't do brake checks. But I do, you're just like a lot more innocent of like, if you're riding my bumper, I'm going to drive a lot slower than I would have otherwise. One time I did follow a person. It's fine. It's fine.
Okay. Yeah. You need to tell me a little bit about that.
We were going in the same direction. This person jumped their turn at a 4-way intersection. I was coming home from my high school job late at night. And you know what I did? I turned my brakes on and I rode her ass the rest of the way. Oh,
her. You knew it was a girl.
Oh, yeah, again, because I'm a bully. But the same situation is I think there's a fair amount of misogyny when it comes to road rage and who you'll enact. Again, because everybody picks on someone who they think is not actually going to murder them.
The stats might surprise you on that. I'll get to that.
Okay, because I felt some of the heat change where once when people used to wave at me in my car, I assumed that they were going to try to be like flirtatious. And now I just assume they're mad at me for something I did. And that was a kind of a hard, like, wow, you're almost 30. You're not like a cute little girl in a purple car anymore. You're like, oh, look at that Karen.
Oh,
God
welcome
damn.
to the world. Welcome to my world.
The rose is off the bloom.
No, ain't it true?
The bloom is off the rose, I guess is how that's
There you go. That's there you go. There it is.
The fine lines are on the rose.
Just Botox that shit away. It's fine. So then you get to the next level shit. And this is running people off of the road, purposely slamming into them, which is just fucking insane. Getting out of your car to get in someone's face or, killing them.
Okay, I'm not a woo good on this, thankfully. Thank the Lord.
No.
Thankfully, I have some mental control. But a big thing of this is like that takes your safety away, right? From being in your car and expressing, you're actually like escalating to the point where something physical is happening. And what I've heard from road rage and the research, safety kind of plays a big factor into it because you feel untouchable when you're in your car. You're in your own isolated room, essentially by yourself, and that is why we feel empowered to act a certain way that we wouldn't act if we were interacting with people face to face. A comic had a good stand-up bit about this when I used to have XM radio when I first bought my little purple car and I got a free year of it. And his bit was about how he cut someone off and the guy went ballistic on him. And he's like, this is my approach or my tip for dealing with someone with road rage or dealing with just extreme people in general. So this person came up and was like banging on his car window, yelling at him. And he rolled down the window and he said, you're right. I am a piece of shit. Are you going to be the one who does me a favor and takes me out of this world?
Oh, Jesus.
And the guy that was like,
yeah, broken, don't know what to do.
And the moral of the story is you can always out crazy. Well, I don't know if you can always, but
a lot of the times you can out crazy.
Yeah. Just if somebody's yelling you about something, then just take what they're saying to the next degree. So if you work in food service and someone said, oh, you took too long to bring me my food, you should say, yeah, you're fucking right. I did. I took too long. I should be fired. I should be out on the street. You're right. I don't deserve this job.
Do you want to talk to my manager and tell him to fire me?
Yeah. I'll bring him over right now. And then this is the last time. This is the last straw. I'm on my last straw. So I'll bring him over and you can tell him how awful I am. And then people will be like, "Oh fuck no."
Yeah, I didn't expect you to agree with me. I expected confrontation.
Yes. Pro tip from Impolite Society, steer into it. Not into other cars.
Lean in, ladies and gents.
Yeah, but don't steer into other cars.
Yeah, but unfortunately people do steer into other cars. And I read a lot of news stories about road rage for this research, and a really large amount of them included the elderly and young children, like people, like old people.
Victims?
Yeah, old people who were getting the shit beat out of them, kids that accidentally got shot. But then I was reading them, and I got an emotional reaction. Of course, I mean that's how it's supposed to be.
Nobody wants to see bad stuff happen to old folks and young kids.
Yeah, but then I got my logical brain kicked in, and I'm like, these are the ones that the news really latched onto, to get that kind of emotional reaction, because there's as they'll see from the stats, there's all kinds of stuff that don't involve elderly and the young children. But those might be the ones that you hear the most about, because news do as news do, which is want to get your guile going.
Yeah, and it's also just the most tragic,
Exactly. But the stats are still really grim, and some of these are particularly eye-opening. So, numbers portion, warning, we're going to get into some stats here.
So if you want to bust out your notepad and pencil just to write down the stats so you can remember them, there's going to be a lot of numbers flying around. So be prepared.
Actually.
Yeah, this is the Nerd Society podcast.
First, tailgating, yelling, honking at another vehicle. These are a factor in more than half of all fatal crashes. 66%. That number to me is shocking, which means, because I think of fatal crashes, I think of something happening so fast you have no time to react to it. But if all of these are a factor in 66% of crashes, whoa.
Well, to be fair, tailgating would also reduce your time to
exactly.
react. And people tailgate all the time.
And that turns fatal. Oh, the stat.
Yeah, well, how do you know if you're tailgating, Laura? Tell me from the driver's ed booklet.
You need to be 1 car distance away for every 10 miles per hour you're driving, which is total bullshit. Nobody does that.
Oh, I do 3 car lengths away at all times. That was what was in my book.
My book was if you're driving 60 miles per hour, there needs to be 6 car lengths in between you. That's what my driver's ed book said.
That sounds fair. And then my husband's like, "Why are you driving so slow?" And I'm like, "I'm trying to not die in a car accident." People are crazy.
Yeah, I'm not the best driver. I don't claim to be the best driver. So I do speed. I do probably follow too closely than I need to. But I don't ride people's ass. Okay, next stat. An average of 30 murders happen every year in the U.S. due to road rage.
But how many have been, de-escalated to aggravated manslaughter or some shit like that?
I don't know. I don't know if this is court pleas or just deaths. You know what I mean? Altercations that involved a death. I don't know.
I would imagine it would be more than 30.
Yeah.
How many times has somebody ran off the road and the other person just leaves, and then it's just like, oh...
and then those people die.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good point. Whew, that's a sobering thought.
Well, you know what we should have done? Not we should have done. Me producing at the last minute is sprinkling some stories here, and then we could call this podcast True Crime. Then we could really get some momentum behind us.
Whatever. Fuck true crime.
Nobody cares about the sciences anymore. They only want to hear about murder and mayhem.
I like what we do, and I stand by it. And speaking of which... I don't know where that came from. Anyway.
Speaking of which, tell me the next stat in fact or figure.
37% of aggressive driving incidents involve a firearm, which means when something happens, when you're flicking off someone and then somebody follows you and then shit gets out of hand, 37% of those incidents, a gun will be pulled at some point.
That is the main reason I do not have a gun, is because I could not trust myself to have a gun when I'm driving.
I knew you were going to say that. When I was doing this research, I was like, Rachel's going to say that. And I think that's
I'm not
fair.
saying that's true for everyone. I'm saying that's true for me. That is why I do not have one.
Exactly. And I think that that's totally fair, because not everyone can handle the responsibility of a firearm.
I just get so mad in a car. And I have theories on that I will talk about in the musing section.
We will get to those. All right. So, and then this is the last stat, and this one really blew my mind. So 2% of drivers in this survey admit to trying to run another car off the road. Okay, so just think about that the next time you're driving around. 2%. It doesn't sound like a lot, but think about how many cars you pass in your daily commute. 100 cars. Easy. 2 of those people, 2 out of 100, are willing to run you off of the road if you piss them off. That is insane to me that people will escalate this much, that they will run other people off the road or slam into them with their own car. It's like, not only are you, again, just slamming another car, you are also damaging your own property, which is like my self-protection thing. I'm just like, this is your property. Why do you want to fuck it up and ruin it and fucking run into other people? It's bonkers.
Something is short-circuiting in your brain in that moment. No person who's functioning on a high level, like a human level, like a modern human civil level, is going to be doing that. This is something is like connecting into our chimp brain, and it's like, ooh, ooh, I smash. Ooh, ooh, ooh. And, maybe that is the monster that's just kind of laying in wait in all of us.
And, well, in some of us, because not all of us suffer from road rage. Remember
I
that,
heard you
Rachel.
say awooga a couple times.
I said auga and auga. There was a light auga.
1.5.
So, all right. Who are these road ragers other than Rachel, my father, my best friend, and my husband? So they are mostly men. Big shocker.
Because they got that testosterone flowing through their veins. The roid rage turns into road rage.
Exactly. And even more specifically, young men. More testosterone, more road rage, more testosteroid rage. Drivers between the age of 25 and 39 were more likely to exhibit road rage, and those between 19 and 24 were most likely to take more extreme actions like running people off the road, bumping into them, altercations, banging on windows, etc., etc.
But the good news is, it's not your fault. If you are a young man and you experience road rage, it's not your fault. It's just not. Because I've seen... Laura's giving me a face. I mean, we're all responsible for our actions. But I
Indeed.
I can't remember what... It was for one of these goddamn shows that we were doing. I don't know if it was this one. But it said that young males are across species, not just humans, any species, younger males have higher levels of risk-taking. And I'm sure it's an evolutionary thing, right? Because
it is.
You gotta got the guts to have the glory, baby, to pass on your seed. So
yeah,
getting in these situations, is it because they're more angry than the rest of us, or because they're less willing to stop themselves from acting on it?
I mean, there's something evolutionary going on there. I mean, that's why we send young men to war. That's why you don't send 35-year-old men to war, because they know, I'm going to fucking die. Or the 18-year-old is like, fuck it, I'm not going to fucking die. I'm never going to die. So speaking of young men in road rage, to be fair, there are a lot of women that also said they experienced road rage. So, Rachel, you're not alone.
Who
Rachel
said
and
I
Katie.
was a woman?
I'm going to call you they from now on. Does that work?
Actually, no, you can call me Ray and Rare, because I'm not a them. I am Rachel.
I like that. Yeah, you don't have to be a part of the group. You can be your own fucking thing.
gosh,
Fuck labels.
yeah.
I like it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. I thought of that while in the car.
Good for you. Having those car thoughts. But women, they were much less likely to be involved in any of these violent incidents on both ends. They were less likely to, instigate them or be on the receiving ends of this road rage, which we talked about your misogyny when it comes to road rage. This is dude on dude violence for the most part.
I think that dudes are not going to kill a woman, right? Like, when it comes to that extreme, they're only going to kill the women they love and not just a random woman. Mm-hmm. And as far as women on women, they're not going to, pull out their gun and shoot another woman.
They're not going to escalate, yeah.
Yeah, they're just going to go and cyberbully her online and, talk shit to all their friends and start rumors. Because women are catty and passive-aggressive.
So another demographic that's really big on getting even behind the wheel, these are, interestingly, people with bumper stickers. A awesome study by psychologist William
Oh, that is so tough. Where are the vowels?
Smelsko? No, that can't be right.
Smlecko. Smlecko.
Sismelko. That's got to be it. Sismelko. This dude at Colorado State University in Fort Collins, he showed that people who had really made a lot of effort to personalize their cars, you know, seat covers, bumper stickers, other motor vehicle accessories.
Oh, wow.
These people were more likely to engage in road rage activities than us run-of-the-mill normies who have nothing on their car.
What about people who have accumulated 6 months worth of trash and garbage in their car? Does that make me more possessive?
No research on that yet. But I'm going to touch back on this study later because I think it's really interesting and speaks to one of the reasons of road rage later. So we know who these people are, who they're likely to be, but why? Why do people do this to one another? Why do we let loose behind the wheel? There are a ton of reasons being speculated online and in research papers and just like common sense. Honestly, you can think of a lot of reasons why people do this. Mm-hmm. So top reasons, substance abuse, you know, people who are drunk or high or doing whatever behind the wheel, obviously they can't keep their shit together.
That makes sense, as we learned about in our alcohol episode, Big Talk Throwback, about how it literally strips away every other moment in time, so you are only in the moment. So that person who cut you off is gone from somebody who did like a minor offense to something that has really, like, that is your whole life, is that moment, and they have given you the biggest slight that you've ever experienced.
Absolutely. Yeah. Another, obviously, anger management people who can't handle anger management when they're talking to their family members, they're not going to deal well with getting cut off in traffic either. And another thing that people talked a lot about in the research was the general stress that we're all under. Oh, we got so many places to be. We got so many places to go. We don't have a moment. Blah, 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 blah. But those are all really surface level stuff. There are some additional theories that I think are a lot more interesting that talk more about the deep-seated monster or, you know, our deep-seated psyche that we can delve into
I
today.
like that. Yeah. Bust out your excuse that you're always late. That doesn't fly, even though I'm always late and it always makes me super stressed. But that's besides the point. There's probably more things that are at work as to why I'm always late. Particularly, I'm guessing, but no, let's learn about let's learn about humans themselves and our deepest flaws and how those flaws might manifest as monsters on the road.
Absolutely. So one of the things that I came across was particularly people with type A personalities are particularly susceptible to road rage. Researcher John Casada, he's a psychiatrist in Texas, he treats people with anger issues, and he said something about these type A personalities or competitive personalities. They are more likely to lose it on the road. They are used to having control. They're used to having things going their way. They really have a hard time adjusting to the chaos of driving and sharing the road with other people. This one really tracked for me personally because, I mean, my husband, he's not really a road rager. As we were talking about it before this episode, he said, I am an angry narrative driver, where he'd be like, this fucking guy, well, and then this guy's going to do, and then...
so he's narrating the drive. The more I hear about your husband, the more I'm like, we have a lot in common. Like, if I was a man, I would probably be your husband. Not your husband specifically. But I would be very similar to Austin.
No, you can be my husband. It's fine. You can be my girl husband. Oh, okay. All right. Fine.
I would want a riper banana.
Oh. Wait, a riper banana? You want an older banana?
No,
than me? Than him? I'm confused.
That was a joke, a greener banana. It was a joke
Oh.
from 30 Rock I was trying to reference.
Oh, I thought you were calling me
because-
old.
No, just because of the age difference, I'd find it.
Okay, you are calling me old. Okay.
But I'm just saying, if I was my age and you were your age,
Yeah.
societal pressure.
Oh, yeah,
and
if you were a
norms-
dude, yeah, definitely. No, you're right. You're right.
Yeah. I'm just saying I would probably be working in IT, not eating anything other than chicken tenders or whatever he eats.
He doesn't eat chicken tenders. He eats burgers, pizzas, and tacos. Okay.
That's just, I'm really coming for Austin on this episode, talking about his hair, talking about his eating
Don't
habits,
worry, he won't listen.
while also saying that I feel a kinship to him.
Oh, I see the self-hatred is strong with this one.
Which does that not remind you of your husband?
It's true story. Anyway, type A personalities. Yeah, this one resonated with me, and I have a sneaking suspicion it might resonate with you as well, Rachel.
Well, I will say I am not a type A person. My life is chaos. I got locked out of my workspace today for 30 minutes and was just at the fate of the universe.
That doesn't mean that doesn't happen with type A people.
Oh, I am not a type A person.
No?
I'm always late. I don't have control. I have control over nothing. What I am is competitive, and I hate to think that other people are beating me. And so
Okay, so maybe that's what I'm picking up on, is that idea of like I'm losing somehow, or something is happening that I'm at the victim or the other end of.
yeah, so by you cutting me off, you're taking something from me.
Yeah.
And gaining. And that's, well, this is going to come up later. I feel like I more strongly fall into one of these other categories, but we'll get there in a second.
Okay. Next category that I read about was narcissism.
No, just kidding. But I do worry about narcissism a lot.
So these are people that believe everything is about them. So even the mistakes that other people are making while they're driving, they take this personally. Like, you're doing this to me. How dare you? You are, cutting me off. You are like, they really reflect on it personally, as opposed to this person's just trying to get where they're going, perhaps in a reckless and awful way, but it's not about you. You just happen to be the one that's there in the moment. But these people kind of take it personally and then retaliate.
Yeah, I am the main character of my narrative, and
Who
you
isn't?
all are. Well, I know, and everybody else are side characters or like background actors. So how come, like, you need to get out of my way? Essentially, it's because I'm the main character. I could see where that would fit in, and there's times where you don't always realize that everybody around you has their own life that they're living. So instead of thinking about them living their life and driving around as being like, oh, you're inconveniencing me.
Yeah,
How dare you.
Who doesn't fall into this category occasionally? Like you said, we're all the main character in our own stories. So that's normal. I think that, it's just something to be aware of, and think about in everyone in their lives, that just think about it. It's not about you. You just happen to be the one that was in their way at the moment, and they're just trying to get someplace best as you can. I always try to think of it like, as long as they're not driving recklessly, I'm just like, you know what? Maybe they're in fucking a hurry and their kid's in the emergency room and they're trying to get somebody. Is that probably the case? No. But I like to tell myself it is, to like kind of cool myself off.
So stop me if this is something that was in your research, but I read it recently. But the joke to kind of take yourself out of this narcissism thing is always give people the grace of imagining that they have to poop.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
if somebody's cutting you off and they're driving fast, like maybe they just really gotta poop. Or
Yeah.
they're driving slow. They're like, oh, if I go any faster or I make a sudden movement, it's gonna spill out. So just like, whenever anybody is doing something like in driving, just be like, oh, they're doing that because they have to poop.
I think that is a great hack. I really like that. Because we've all had to poop. It's funny because it's true.
And we just want to make it back to our home base and our safe spot to do it.
I have pulled off the highway to be like, I gotta poop. I gotta find a Quick Trip, like, stat.
See, I will wait until my body is ready to explode.
Nope.
Before
I will pull my ass over like,
Never pooped in a gas station? Never will.
Are you serious?
No. Who
Okay.
poops in a gas station?
No, you've never pooped in a gas station?
Never.
Oh, Jesus, we live very different lives.
We sure do.
I don't know how many gas stations I pooped at.
I feel like
many.
gas stations are designed specifically for pooping in, but I just can't do it. I can't do it.
I can't be discomforted at any moment. So I'm like, if I really have to poop, I am going to evacuate that shit. Literally.
No. I live my life uncomfortable.
This next one, the next kind of theory about why we have such a problem with road rage is private versus public confusion. So this is where that bit with the bumper sticker kind of fits together in the puzzle. They're territorial. People have theoretically pissed all over their car with their bumper stickers. They've marked it as theirs. They put on their bumper stickers. They put on their seat covers. They've made it their individual home, and they will defend their home. So drivers feel like they're in their own personal space, but they are still sharing a public space, which is the road. They feel attacked on their home turf, and they are not face to face. You're surrounded by this big hunk of metal. There's this impersonal dynamic in a space that doesn't belong to anyone. It leads to a lot of confusion, a lot of gray area where our chimp brain, I think, gets short-circuited and doesn't know what to do.
Yeah, and I have two main thoughts when I see this. First, do you feel like you're on your own, even though you're constantly surrounded by people who can see you and people who can interact with you, right? You think you're by yourself because you're in your car, you're not really like talking to them, interacting with them. And that's why you see so many people picking their nose in their car.
Guilty.
As if nobody can. Oh, I do it too. And I'm like, oh, people can definitely see me. And I'm just still doing it because I feel like I'm by myself. And when I'm by myself, apparently I'm a fucking garbage human who picks their nose and swears and paces around in circles. That's what happened when I was locked out of my space. I looked like an insane person.
It was really funny, guys.
It was really funny.
I saw the video. It was great.
I should make a TikTok of it.
You really
because that
should.
seems like something that should be on TikTok.
You really should.
Okay, so that part I understand. So when you're by yourself, you're like your worst self, right? Because shame and social pressure is the only thing that separates us from the animals. But the other piece of it with the bumper stickers is I really think that's a chicken or an egg situation because who has bumper stickers? The only bumper stickers I see are about Calvin peeing on Hobbs, Monster energy drink, and killing deer.
I don't think Calvin is peeing on Hobbs. He's peeing on another logo of another car company.
Yeah. So there's a Calvin peeing.
Calvin doesn't pee on Hobbs.
Monster energy
Calvin
drink,
loves Hobbs.
The deer, camo deer head. That's one side. The other side is all I'm with her and the coexist. And these are people who feel very strongly about their things. And so maybe it's not that their car is representing them by the stickers. It's that they just are kind of intense people to begin with.
Passionate people. And that's a good point. Which comes first? I think that just like objectively, that's the thing that you can say is like, okay, the people who brand their car are the ones who are more likely to engage in road rage.
So this next one, this is the one I feel in my core and in my heart. Tell me about it.
This is the need to punish.
Oh, don't say it like that. That's not how I took it.
So driving makes us pay a lot more attention to the actions of other people, things that we wouldn't normally notice, because that's how you drive. You have to notice the cars around you. This makes people feel like they have to do something about other people's behavior. Everyone knows the rules of the road. We were all taught it in some form of driver's ed.
We were tested on it.
Yes, you got a booklet. You were given the instructions. And some people want to enforce these rules on other people. Like they should make sure this person knows that they did wrong. They shouldn't do it again. They get super worked up about it and like about how dangerous the other driver is. And they need to do something about it and tell them and let them know so it doesn't happen to someone else.
Well, and it really highlights the selfishness of other humans, where you think your life and what your need to poo or whatever we were talking about is way more important than the rest of ours need to poo. We all got to poo. Poo is part of life. Poo is life, and life is poo.
We have to get to work. We've got to We got places to be.
And there's rules. And the more I'm growing, the more I'm aging, the more I'm learning. I'm a fucking rule follower. And I'm like, we all have established these rules. We've all agreed to them. And you're not going to follow them? You're not going to do it? Because of it. Because these rules are what make us a society.
But why are you the one to do it?
I'm not enforcing it, but oh my God, let me tell you, that is the reason at the core of the road rage is, yeah, sure, you might cut me off or da-da-da, but it's like, it's a call the fucking zipper. Like, just do the zipper. That's where the anger comes from. Not my need to enforce the laws, but the fact that people are just blatantly breaking rules that we've all agreed to, that is like, this is the rules of engagement. I hate that. It kills me. I don't know why. I didn't realize this about myself until very recently. But I'm like, you got to follow the rules. Rules are there. You follow them. And if you don't, God damn it. I literally am Javert from Les Mis. You ever seen that show?
No, but I looked it up in preparation for this episode and read about it, and I was like, okay, I'm hearing what you're saying.
Javert is my spirit animal, and I do not care what that says about me. I have become more comfortable with who I am. The two characters that I associate the most with in musicals lately have been fucking Javert and fucking Aaron Burr from Hamilton. You best believe that no matter how bad I have to poop, I am not going in an exit lane to jump people in line that are stuck in traffic. Like, at the end of the day, that's what it comes down to, because I don't think that my time's any more valuable than anybody else's. And the rules are there and I follow the rules.
But what if you have to poop more than anybody else in that line of cars?
I just say that, like, do better. Eat less or don't eat spicy foods.
Stop at that Quick Trip.
Pull off, do something. I don't know. It says I've never pooped at a Quick Trip, but I might, I guess, if I couldn't make it home. But it's just like, you are in control of what you put in your body and your bowels. But I mean, anyways, that's besides the point. The moral of the story is that I think that there's so much in this world that's random and chaotic, and like, that's like how I live my life, that there's just, I like order, apparently. I didn't realize this until recently.
Or maybe a little type A.
I don't think that. Maybe I'm type A with, like, severe ADHD. No, that's what TikTok's been trying to tell me lately. You have ADHD. I'm like, okay, whatever. I get mad. In this sentence, I get mad when people break the rules. I'm not necessarily punishing them because I don't have a gun in my car, thankfully. But that is what sets me off, is people who are blatantly disrespecting other people, disrespecting other people's time, and just acting like they're more important. Maybe that's it. I don't know. Maybe it all comes back to narcissism. Who knows?
The feeling like they think they're better than you, are more important than you. They put themselves first in the line, and you're like, nuh-uh.
Yeah. Who knows? It could be any of this. I think that there's a lot, and my main theory we'll get to in the musing section.
So the last theory, it was an interesting one that I saw repeatedly come up in my research, which is intermittent explosive disorder.
Which
so
could
this
be
disorder,
a reason why you're speeding home.
for your intermittent digestive explosive disorder. So this disorder, it affects about 16 million Americans. It's actually more common than bipolar disorder and schizophrenia, not combined, but separately. So these people, they suffer from a deficiency of serotonin, and this results in these explosive outbursts. The outbursts are wildly out of proportion to the situation. They can be verbal, physical, and violent. These tantrums, because let's be honest, that's what they are. They're tantrums.
What they sound like, yeah.
They are not premeditated. They don't really benefit the person that's throwing them. They kind of come out of nowhere. They are not manipulative in any way. They just kind of come out of the blue. And these people usually feel bad about these tantrums later.
So are these just people who are not prepared to deal with emotions? Like they're just emotionally illiterate?
Yes, kind of. But that's because of this serotonin deficiency, basically.
Oh, so there's actually a chemical imbalance.
Yes, exactly. So it's something that's more common than, like I said, bipolar or schizophrenia, but it actually has a chemical component. And this came up a lot in my research, and there weren't particular studies that stated these road ragers have more of this disorder, in their ranks. But with all the research and kind of the tying to road rage, it's something that seemed to make sense to researchers, and it seemed like a plausible kind of scapegoat for a lot of road rage.
Yeah, and also something for me to blame all my issues on.
Intermittent explosive disorder.
Yeah, Dan, my husband, when I get mad in the morning when I can't find my shoes, it's not me. It's not my personal failing. It's an intermittent explosive disorder. Sign me up.
So those are some of the more interesting theories when it comes to road rage, why we do what we do. But Rachel and Laura are going to speculate on why after this exciting break.
And we're going to do it in third person. Rachel and Laura are.
So, do you think that people who bottle up a lot of their feelings, do you think they have more issues with road rage than other people?
I mean, if I'm going to do a quick analysis of the people that I know in the situation who have, and the people who I know in the situation who haven't, I'm going to say that kind of rings true because I'm thinking of myself. I'm thinking of
Agreed.
your husband.
Mm-hmm.
And if we're birds of a feather, that means we both don't express ourselves well. Meanwhile, Laura's just say whatever pops into her mind.
And I'm on the road c'est la vie. Meh.
Yeah. So I think that's there's probably a fair amount of pressure, a pressure valve. I don't think we're all sitting there ready to explode. I think that there is something very specific about being in a car that brings out the worst in people. And my analogy that I use when I talk about it all the time, whether it's any of the reasons we talked about earlier, there's just, I feel like maybe a lack of control. And I think a good analogy would be when I had a dog, right? My most previous dog, leash aggressive, so leash aggressive. And when he was off a leash, I mean, sure, he might hump a dog here or there, but he would not get into fights. If a dog came up to him when he was on a leash, 100% a fight. And it's a thing. It's a real thing, leash aggression, because the dog is on a leash. It can't get away. Its mobility is limited, and it panics.
Yeah.
And it's more likely to escalate. And I think that's what happens when you're in a car because, like we talked about with alcohol, your whole world is that car in that moment, and you can't do anything about it. When I'm stuck in traffic, I get berserk because there's literally, you're just stuck there.
Yeah, I agree. That does drive me a little bit crazy. It's like a claustrophobia of types.
Yeah. When you're running out of options and you're panicking, and I'm sure there's a psychological piece to it too, where your fight or flight starts kicking in. So if you're a
100%.
fighter, you're going to start fighting.
Yeah.
You feel like you're backed in a corner by a saber-toothed tiger, and you're going to do what you need to do to try to navigate the situation. What evolution has primed you to do.
Yeah, that rings true for me because
Excuses of a road rager.
I can feel that part because I hate that feeling of being trapped, and that'll cause a fight or flight reaction in me, and then it'll often be a fight. So I hear that one.
Even you can't really fight in the situation either.
No,
so then
you can't.
I think you just get frustrated, and that could also turn to anger.
So back to talking about road rage as a taboo or a non-taboo. Why do people do this? Why do they humble brag about their road rage? It's that thing that, as we see from the stats, it's real. It kills people. It's a serious problem. But people feel like it's something that they can boast about. Why do people do that?
People, I guess because it is so common. My thought would be because it's so common, people are using it to relate to one another, and talking to their coworkers about it on the way in, talking to their friends and family about it, putting it in a podcast. I mean, because it's relatable, but then also something about it sticks in your brain so much. This is why I was able to recall all these very minor interactions I've had with other people while driving that have, like, they're in my brain, they're cemented in my brain. And maybe that's because there are our closest brushes with danger.
That's a good point.
Yeah, so we're in these situations and they're like, whether it's social danger of somebody flipping you off or actual physical danger of, maybe getting run off the road, these memories are more firm in our head because we're more inclined to remember bad memories.
I hear your point there, but I think it has something to do with something that you said at the top, is that it's like, I'm tough and I don't deal with no bullshit. Like there's some sort of boastful aspect to it of talking about it because it makes you feel maybe powerful.
And I think that only really happens, I think road rage, I mean, sure, it happens everywhere. I feel like it's also very closely linked to the American condition.
Well, American car culture for sure.
Yeah, where being tough, no bullshit kind of person is the ideal, right? Where in other cultures that might be a little bit more collectivistic, you would probably brag about letting someone merge than you would about how you told someone what's up when they made a mistake. Yeah.
I think that's interesting. And also kind of a weird switcheroo, right? Because I'm usually a fan of that American, no bullshit kind of thing. But in this case, I'm like, oh, should we be more taboo about road rage?
Is the rugged individualistic mentality of America flawed in some way?
What?
I never would have guessed that shuffles $10,000 medical bills into the fucking fireproof safe.
But it is interesting because, I'm normally a fan of that mentality. But in this case, I'm just like, man, everybody just live and let live. Like, that tends to be my philosophy on road rage. And it's a little bit more maybe collectivist than some of my other viewpoints. So this is an interesting kind of a switcheroo here.
Yeah, stop being such a bleeding heart.
You know me.
Law
such
and
a bleeding
order.
heart.
Law and order.
That's tattooed on my lower back. That's what I've got on tattooed.
What, Law and Order?
Yep. That's
bum bum. Oh, wait. Bum 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 bum. Only for some sunglasses and like a cheeky joke put in there as well.
All right, so back to our question at the top. Does having road rage mean that you're a monster or a bad person? And I think the resounding answer is no.
Yeah, I think that there's something about driving that unleashes the monster within that kind of hijacks our brain and makes it easier for that animalistic part of ourselves to come out, whether that's just a human piece or it's also compounded by the society that we live in that enforces, the law and order aspect and standing up for yourself, or just because we're all so fucking stressed at the end of the day that we got to get to work on time or to dance class or soccer practice, that when something minor happens, we're just, tea kettles ready to
awooga.
Yeah, we're going to awooga, that's for sure.
Yeah, I don't think it makes anybody a bad person. And it doesn't make you a monster, no, as much as any of the rest of us are monsters, and it's all lurking right underneath the surface.
The inclination to road rage does not make you a monster. Running someone off a road, pulling out a gun, that's where you cross the line. Because we all have our impulses that are not ideal, right?
Absolutely.
And what really separates us from the animals, which I think is like the third time I've used that phrase today, is our ability to control it. So if you aren't able to control your chimp brain, then yes, you are a chimp in a human body going around smashing and destructing. So that's, the inclination does not make you a monster. The anger doesn't. Acting on it does.
Yeah. And, maybe we can all offset a little bit of this tension in our society by taking Rachel's hot tip is just imagine that the people who are cutting you off, they've all got to poop. Let's all give ourselves a little bit of grace.
Yes. That's a good practice for traffic, for everyday life. Everyone around you is just like really clenching.
They're really trying to keep that shit in, literally.
Yes, it's humiliating enough where you can give people grace.
All right, well, that is it for Road Rage. Thanks for joining us, guys.
Yes, we appreciate your time. And if you liked us telling you about Road Rage, be sure to download, rate, and review. And also give us a subscribe. Those are all the things that keep our podcast alive.
Ooh, nice rhyme.
I'm a lyricist.
Damn Skippy. So follow us on all the socials, and we will talk at you in another 2 weeks.
We'll be back with another taboo topic, and until then, was ist
Auga! Auga! Auga!
No, it's not cars. It's drums coming to beat down our
Doors?
will to live. I don't know. I have cut that part out. It's drums!
Bye,
Okay.
everybody!
We'll
See you
in 2
later!
weeks.